What is going on, RotoGrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's 5:32 on the East Coast, 2:32 on the West Coast, 4:32 Tennessee time. So, of course, and we just have the flagship show here at RotoGrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, it's Grant Neefer. Great, just fresh off the podcast talking about the Morning Grind contest, Morning Grind podcast talking about football. It's week one. Spoiler alert: you're gonna like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Get excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm all over Fitzy this week. It's a terrible idea, but I do love playing that guy.
Have you been hammering the best ball contest of late? Is that something you've been partaking in?
I wasn't planning on doing too much because I hate having so much money tied up in that. Yeah. So this year, like normally I have a decent amount, and this year I decided not to. And then last night hit, and I'm like, oh, everyone drafting right now is not actually paying attention. So I did like 30. I don't know. My brain is so fried from football, baseball, best ball, and now I've got a pick coming up. Who should I make it?
Oh, I got a pick coming up too. We'll be picking, I guess. I accidentally, of course, this was minus 200 on the money line. I tried to sign up as well too because I wanted to take advantage of the situation going on and try to get some good teams. And I had yet to even draft the best ball team. I got a ticket. They gave me a ticket. I'm like, I guess I'll play.
Yeah, they gave every single user a ticket.
Well, I didn't know this. Somebody told me. Like, they say, check your tickets. And I have like 37 tickets because I hoard the tickets. I have a bunch of tickets. Some NASCAR. I have no idea what I have tickets for, but they're there. The thing is, I'll fire at the 50 cents, $1, a quarter to win a ticket, whatever. I'll click that button. I don't even know what I'm getting a ticket for. But we'll talk baseball in a second. Don't worry about it, guys. We got plenty of time. It's just a 9-game slate, and I think it's fairly straightforward. We'll dig into it. What's up, chat? Hey, if you guys are in chat, feel free to like and subscribe. Also, if you guys are in chat, feel free to give me your favorite last round flyer picks for best ball because we're in round 16, boys, and I'm struggling.
Will Dissly.
Will Dissly, really?
Oh, you mean the guy that has absolutely crushed every single game he's played over the last 2 years?
Yeah, but he never plays.
Well, he got injured.
Yeah, which seems to do a lot.
Literally happened once. He had one injury.
Is Russ going to cook? Are they going to let Russ cook, or are they going to wait till he's down?
It doesn't matter. If anytime he has a connection with a tight end, they crush. We saw it with Luke Wilson. We saw it for a short period of time with Graham. We saw it with Dissly. When he gets a tight end he likes, they do well.
All right, let's just fire this out for the people. I did not have a sharp side pick today. I apologize. We're still going to
Cubs under 6.5.
I saw it's down to 6. I think it's down to 6 last I saw. Is it still 6.5 on the sharp side?
I don't even know.
Hit the refresh button because it's, the weather. We'll talk about that game as well too. The 2 best pitchers, on the slate. Well, I guess Kershaw has something to say about it. 2 of the 3 best pitchers in the slate. 2 of the 3 pitchers in the National League this year, and probably if it's not DeGrom winning the Cy Young, it's gonna be whoever wins that game today. Maybe. Well, that's probably a little hyperbolic, but basically 1, 2, and 3 as far as the Cy Young in the National League in this short season. Last I saw that 6 as far as total. Nonetheless, either way, let's fire up. I have it right now, the Weather Edge. We can talk about it. In case you didn't just like those pitchers, Weather Edge says in Chicago, the wind is blowing in. It's fairly cool at 62 degrees. Grant, in a 72-game sample size, they've had home runs subdued by 43.8%, runs subdued by 18.1%, and ERA knocked down by 20.9%. And it's 2 elite pitchers, 2 offenses that are sort of meh. Yeah, we're going to be loving those guys. And I love this slate from a DK perspective, especially because I love going double barrel, and DK makes it so easy. Of course, everybody else can realize that too, and that'll make it interesting for tournaments. From a cash game perspective, I just kind of love how that build goes. All right, we'll talk baseball in a second. I do want to, it is football week. Football breaks is going down tomorrow night. You talk about your podcast that's out there. I don't know, it'll probably be out there later on for the people, yourself. And is it Stevie, I presume?
It is, in fact, Stevie.
We have a show on Friday. Oh, no, not Friday. We have a show on Sunday. Sunday morning, Grant. It's going to be early for you. It's going to be, 8:10 in the morning? Does that sound about right?
That's actually not that bad. We have that every single year, sir. I'm up at 5 a.m. on Sundays. It's super weird.
You pull all-nighters sometimes, don't you?
No, I don't do that. Like, occasionally I stay out drinking until 2 a.m. and then wake up at 5 a.m.
Hey, we all have our
It happens like twice a year during football season, and it's almost always a bachelor party where I still decide to get up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday.
Do you keel over watching Red Zone like 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Every single week it's the same thing. I end up getting just drunk as a skunk because, like,
White
Claws? Mimosas generally. But it's like I don't like handling the anxiety of football Sunday.
Is that the Podfather Mimosa? Is that you guys drinking together? Is that his?
No, it is not. It's generally me and DC.
Podfather likes brunch, and for some reason in my head, mimosas and brunch are a thing. But we'll talk baseball in a second. I do want to let the people know, though, about our football schedule. Sunday is actually going to be all free with the exception of the Sunday. 9 o'clock in the morning, I believe it's going to be up there. DB, Tip and Pick, and SEO cards. But all the way up the lock, we're free. Myself, there's a ton of premium shows throughout the week, too, which we'll talk about in a second as well. But myself, yourself, and Beer, the maker of Beer, Beavericus fan, who's currently in mourning because the Milwaukee Bucks, my Miami Heat just walloped them, Grant. I heard Giannis Antetokounmpo is not good. He's still really good. So 10 o'clock in the morning. What?
Is he?
No, he's awesome. And he's going to be even better in the Heat in 2 years.
I mean, he's like Clayton Kershaw, great during the regular season.
Oh, stop it. So, 10 o'clock in the morning to kick off. We have 3 different shows going down. NFL Crunch Time. Crunch Time is free as well, too. Also want to tell you, the Gilcast on Monday, the weekly preview podcast on Tuesday. There's showdown slates. We shouldn't mention them all, but look, there's a whole rundown. There's a page that has it for it. Maybe Devin can go and drop that for the people. But the point is, subscribe. Every single day there's going to be new content out there. Maybe we'll focus on it more. And over the weekends, 2 of my favorite shows, the premium shows, the Ownership Show, which was Jamino, and the Blitz Show with Cardi as well. That's always good for last-second scrambling. You just got to listen to one.
Cardi.
What? Do you want to... You and Cardi have this love-hate relationship. It's good times for sure. But again, the chat's making fun of you, by the way. They're making fun of you for Disley. They don't like your Will Disley pick.
I don't care. I really don't care. He's won me a lot of money.
All right, chat. We apologize. We're talking baseball now. Well, but we're talking baseball, but the slate is so straightforward and obvious. This is the old steak and the lobster. You have to choose between Darvish and Bauer. I don't think you do. I think you can have them both. Do you want to give me a sales pitch over which one you prefer, Yu Darvish or Trevor Bauer?
It's very, very slightly Darvish. Realistically, point per dollar, they're about the same. I'm gonna have a whole lot of Darvish Bauer lineups, a whole lot of them. This is just a beautiful spot where I'm just gonna straight up tell you how to play the slate. It's Darvish, it's Bauer with a full Texas stack, and you win.
Well, that's what everybody's doing.
I don't care.
And that's what I'm doing in cash for the most part. That's probably what I'm doing. I built my shell lineup. Of course, things change. And I had the money in DK again. We always talk about how the baseball is this year as opposed to previous years. It's really, really easy when DK keeps giving you relevant players at 2K or 2.5K, and everybody.
You say that's what everyone's doing. Outside of one guy, 2 guys, no one's
the only ones.
There's only 2 guys on the Texas lineup that are over 10% owned.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that. The ownership is fluid. You know that it's going to go up.
Yeah, it looks like everyone has the exact same plan as me today.
I think it's super obvious, and it's certainly interesting for tournaments where you can try to pivot to the White Sox or something like that, or the Padres as well, or the Dodgers, who are pretty heavily priced. But we live in a world with salary cap, and then you have Dunning at the bottom as far as the pitchers. But we can open it up. Let's sort of have the conversation as far as this year specifically. Darvish's K rate is 33%. The walk rate is 4.5%. Both are absolutely beautiful. He's facing a lineup that strikes out plenty if you fire up the old plate IQ here at RotoGrinders. Castellanos, plenty of pop, but he strikes out 30% of the time. Suarez, same deal, striking out 27% of the time. Goodwin in there, plenty of Ks at 30%. Collectively at, 23%. There is some power there, but again, that power will be subdued to some degree by that wind in Wrigley. And we keep talking about how that's a 6 total, and I don't remember. You tell me. I feel like I've seen Kershaw games, when it was peak Kershaw, where they were 6.5. Do you remember a 6 total in a 9-inning baseball game? I don't recall. Maybe I just
forgot. I think one might have dropped down to 5-5 when it was, Verlander versus Kershaw in bad weather.
Yeah, that's certainly possible too. The chat says, what happens if you pulls a muscle or gets hit by a comebacker? Like, I mean, if that's how you're making lineups, like, well, what if that happens? Like, what you can make of any scenario. If you're gonna make, if that's in the realm of possibilities, which I guess it's a non-zero chance, but like you can paint any story you want, right? Like,
yeah,
that could happen. Sure, I don't think it is. It may, unlikely.
Yeah, people are talking about the Giants tonight and whether it's going to get played because of.
Yeah, talk about that.
It's really not too much to worry about in terms of them playing or not. The air quality index in San Francisco is actually good right now. I think it's sitting at like 60, like relatively good. It's the smoke's higher in the air. It's because things are farther off. It makes things look ridiculous, like post-apocalyptic world.
It's like orange, right?
Yeah, but in terms of actually, like, I know a lot of people there all the way up and down the West Coast, and obviously out here we have to worry about fires. Thanks, Snow, though. You're fixing them a little bit.
Well, that was because of a gender reveal party. It's gone wrong. Is that correct?
Yeah, second time that happened because people are really stupid. You can't
just like tell people it's a boy. Like, you have to have like people over your house.
Look, the only way to do a gender reveal is if you have a bookie there to take bets.
Sharp money is on boy. I checked the lineage. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just a cheap way of getting an extra gift, right? Let's be honest. Is that what that is? I think that's what's going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, gender reveal, bridal shower, and then once you actually have the baby, and like everything, like everything with weddings and babies is just a way to make you pay more money, which is why I never buy gifts to anyone. You don't buy you buy wedding gifts though. I do not. I generally get them a hotel to bang one out and. Wait, what? Generally, my go-to was like to get them a penthouse suite at a nice hotel. Because you would get them a hotel room? Yeah, for their honeymoon. Their room's taken care of. They're on it. Huh? You're paying for the bride and groom's hotel room? Yeah. That's not how that works. I do it a lot, actually. No, I don't think you know how. Yeah, that's not how that works. That's my wedding present. They were going to stay at a normal hotel room. I get them a penthouse suite. They're going to register somewhere, whatever. You got to play along. You got to pick your fights. Get them the gift. I got them a $400 hotel room. They already have a hotel room. How many? No, they didn't. This has happened multiple times. I've done this with 5 or 6 different people. Okay, so we're playing Yu Darvish. We're playing Trevor Bauer. Clayton Kershaw is like, hey, what about me? I'm really good. He's been very good this year. It's not Pete Kershaw, but he's still awesome. His Arizona team is pretty terrible. It's putrid for sure. I'm not sure if you've seen the lineup that he's going to be facing now. The roof is going to be open. The ball was jumping there last night to some extent, but this has been one of the worst teams in baseball from a striking up, from a ISO perspective, from a WOBA perspective. And we're going to get a difference, a meaningful difference, I think, in ownership in comparison to Bauer and Darvish. So in tournaments, you can just simply pivot to Kershaw. Now he's going to be owned for sure, but I think that's a little bit different outside of those 2 studs. And if you want to make the argument for win equity, like you can't get 2 wins if you roster Darvish and Bauer. Now, of course, they each can put up 30 points. Who cares about that win? It's only worth 4 points. It's each nice. Can put up 40 points if they get the win. Who's this, Kershaw? Who's doing that? Bauer or Darvish. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be so much fun. I really hope that's not a disaster. I'm not looking and seeing if I'm going to be pissed when it goes like 6 extra innings and they put up 6 runs in the or 7 runs in the top of the 15th, and then I just am out money. I'm trying to see what do we have as far as the ownership. I'm sorry, as the umpires, the extremes today. Extreme hitters umpire for the Braves and the Marlins. Extreme hitters umpire for Colorado and San Diego. Extreme pitchers umpire for the Oakland game, for what it's worth. Oakland and Houston. That's our extremes as far as the umpire. That's kind of what I care about. Pitchers, hitters, that's something, but I just care about the extremes for the most part. The Kershaw thing, though, is the Dodgers are just sort of chilling. They're just kind of cruising. And, this next so many weeks, they're in the playoffs. They can win a couple games here and there. I suppose that's fine. It's not, they're not going to try. But as far as, like, who's got the best chance to go 7 or 8 innings tonight amongst those 3, it's not Kershaw. Now, he can strike out 10 in 6 innings. He can do that, too. So, sell me on Kershaw, like, as a pivot away from those 2 guys, if you can. I mean, he's going up against the Diamondbacks. It's worse weather with the dome open, but it's a worse lineup. He's not going to go as late into the game, but this is baseball. Anything can happen. Anyone can get BABIP like crazy. I'm not doing it much, like, He's $400 cheaper than Bauer. He's $1,000 cheaper than Darvish. Like, if you're trying to double barrel, it's easier to do it with Kershaw than it is with the other guys. Outside of that, like, there's not really much of a reason.
Yeah, Dunning is pretty cheap. He's big Ks, a lot of walks, as you see. Live arm, as you see, as a lot of these young guys, they still haven't completely harnessed. He's not a finished product just yet, but he's definitely shown the ability to strike out. But 30.5% in a small sample so far, and he's facing. Have you seen this Pittsburgh lineup? Fire it up on the plate IQ. Sure, why not? Let's show the people what's going on here. I'm not sure if you're looking at it or not, Grant, but Dunning versus this Pirates lineup, it's just been. I mean, Bell's been an absolute disaster. I don't know where that power is gone, but he's striking out a good bit. He's at a 115 as far as ISO. That's putrid. There's a little bit of power on this team, and Polanco and Colin Moran, but they strike out at a tremendous rate so far this season. 25% versus righties. Polanco at 40%. I rounded up from 39.3%. I guess that's hyperbolic to some extent, but 39.3. 40 sounds more egregious. It is, but it's basically the same thing. How far is Dunning going to go in the game? How much do you need out of Dunning? And of course, he opens up a whole new collection of bats because, Grant, say it with me, we do live in the world of a salary cap. So
I'm not going to say that, Dean.
Well, you said it in your head. You knew where I was going, I imagine, right?
No, I said in my head we live in a world of a salary crap, paid for poop, otherwise known as the Beckham.
Why would you? None of that makes any sense. Bobby in the chat, he's not a homer at all when it comes to the Dodgers, but he is saying Kershaw's pitching for the Cy Young, and I just don't think – I mean, I guess he can, but he's behind all three of those guys right now, isn't he? I haven't done the breakdown, but –
I mean, it's still shortened season. Like, one blow up by any pitcher can drastically change it. But, yeah, I'm sure he is pitching for the Cy Young, but he's still not going to go over 95 pitches probably.
Yeah, I mean, he can thread the needle, of course. And, breaking a tie is like being on a winning team. So maybe that will help as far as voters and things like that. So I suppose, and maybe there's a little bit of nostalgia.
Wins are a valid way to determine the Cy Young.
Well, isn't it appropriate we have Rick Porcello on this slate when you say that? Because Rick Porcello got the Cy Young in Boston at 24-6 or something. And then the voters smartened up and they gave Felix Hernandez the Cy Young with 13 wins. Remember that? That happened as well too.
Yeah, well, he also had a 2.14 ERA, and I think the year Porcello did, he was still at a 3.3 ERA, just didn't have the strikeouts to go with it.
Yeah. And by the way, I ran some, different combinations, using our stuff and our projections and all that. And Rick Porcello is, he's not the guy popping the most, but he is landing in some lineups, and I'm just like, whatever. I guess he's competent. He's decent, I suppose, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I guess that's a segue to Porcello if you want to talk about it, because for me, I'm on the clock right now. We got 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, I've literally got 6 notifications during this show.
I'm in round 17. Give me a pick, chat. Who do I take?
I'm also in round 17.
Oh,
Are we in the same draft?
I don't. We might be in the same draft. I accidentally clicked and I'm in one of the slow drafts, and now it's down to 10 minutes per pick. So I'm milking it right now. It's 7 minutes to go. But do you have any thoughts as far as Porcello? I don't want that. I don't want it. Whatever. No. I'm more likely to roster up some Baltimore sticks, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't want to play Porcello. I get they may be popping in something. I think that the bat, if I'm looking at it right now, has Porcello as popping. Still not worth it to me. Porcello is not very good. He can get it done in any given outing. And I get it's Baltimore, but I'd be more like with Porcello getting ownership, I'm going to play some Baltimore bats. The bats I'm playing are all cheap. They're all going to be fairly low owned. I mean, outside of Stewart, no one in Baltimore's lineup is going to be very heavily owned, and they're cheap. And Porcello really isn't very good. He's not an ace pitcher. We look at the weather in all the games, and it's not great anywhere. So ballparks aren't going to be good. This isn't going to be a high-scoring night. The only 2 games with a decent weather is going to be Phoenix, and it's going to be Atlanta's all right. I don't think it's great, if I remember correctly.
Well, I'm just as a ballpark in general, but yeah, how much Weather Edge is tricky with Atlanta because it's a new ballpark and the sample's not big enough, so we just don't know.
Well, I think the sample size is 30 today, and I'm gonna check right now. I think the sample size is 30 with this, and it's a decrease.
It's 3. Hit the refresh button there. Weather is fluid.
All right, well, it's 3 now. But I mean, the dew point is fairly high, and the temperature is all right. It's not great.
Have you ever walked outside and like, man, that dew point just really hit me?
Yeah, that's exactly what I say. It's otherwise known as humidity. And just a more accurate way to judge humidity.
Chat's telling us that the roof is closed in Texas, by the way, for what it's worth. Is Antonio Brown worth a flyer in these best balls? Like, he's going to be suspended?
He's not signed now, so you're at least not getting the first 8 games of the season plus the bye, so he won't be available till the very least probably week 9.
Yeah, well, I understand how math works. Thank you.
I mean, so if you have depth, like if you,
which is kind of the problem.
Yeah, well, it's probably because you suck at best balls.
My team's great. I only have 2 quarterbacks though, and it's
your team and everyone else who actually paid attention to their drafts team is great because people kept auto drafting stuff.
I don't know. This isn't like an auto draft. Whatever. We can talk about league another day. The people don't care about this in chat.
Yeah. Well, why do you keep bringing it up?
Because I see the clock just ticking down. They're making fun of me for Brown. All right, you won't take Brown. Let's talk about the 4th receiver, the 3rd receiver in Seattle, and a team they have
a guy that could be the number 1 receiver.
No, we can't stop it.
He is the most talented wide receiver in NFL history. He's
fetch, man. You're trying to make him happen. He's a very talented guy, but he's not the number 1 option in Seattle. That's not happening. Stop it.
Yeah.
Hey, give me my pitching pool is really thin. If you can't tell, Darvish, Bauer, Kershaw as a pivot. Davies has been good, but whatever. I don't think I need that. Luzardo's fine, I suppose. I don't know how much I need it. I'm not on Porcello. You could play Lopez if you want to, but Atlanta's a tough matchup. I'm not playing anybody else below that with the exception of Dunning. What do you want to say here as far as the pitchers? Anything else interesting? I don't want to ignore I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty locked in. How about yourself?
I mean, that's pretty much it. At the beginning of the day, my plan was 100% Dunning, Darvish, and Bauer. I think that probably going to be other guys, or probably going to be a little bit of Kershaw in there. I'm starting to think just because of the way that things are going to work out, I might have a share or 2 of Anderson, just because it's Seattle. Like they're going to strike out a decent clip, but I'm going to have more Seattle bats than I am going to have Anderson. But yeah,
you're saying right now it's not your call, but you're not at all concerned about that game not going.
No, but then again, yeah, I don't know things, and I mean, there's always ways to pivot around to different things. It's a little bit tougher with that game being so. Like, I assume if they cancel it, it's going to be by 9:00. There's some guys that you can pivot over to, and the Dodgers, even the Diamondbacks game. Even on the Diamondbacks team, you could do it. It's not.
You have to play Diamondbacks because the salaries for the Dodgers won't work. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can throw 1 Diamondback player in there to counteract things because Matheson is 2.2K. So if you have to do something, you can change it up. But I'm not playing on the game being canceled.
Summarize the arms. Now I'm seeing it's 6.5. I hit the click the refresh button as far as the Darvish versus Bauer game. As far as the total, I've seen it 6 in some places, so maybe it's going to jump back and forth, and it probably is reflected in the juice as well. Davies has been good. I guess he's playable, as a pivot away from. But again, we talk about how the salaries are so open, and just there's so many guys at 2K and 3K that it's super simple to go double barrel. But again, there are some really big spends too. We'll talk about in a second. The White Sox, the Dodgers, the Padres, and you can't roster those guys. At least a collection of them. If you're going to go double barrel. So it's an interesting push-pull as far as making tournament lineups for me today. Summarize the arms. We'll move on to some catchers.
Arms, play Darvish, play Bauer, play Dunnings. Don't really need to play anyone else, but if you want to, Anderson, Luzardo, and Kershaw are decent pivots just because of ownership.
Yeah, that's basically, I'm a little thinner than that, but yeah, just essentially where I'm at. Catchers are always a lot of fun. Who are we looking at to roster as far as catcher, as far as top shelf, mid-tier, and a cheapie flat-out punt?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Catchers.
Did
you just make a pick? Who'd you pick?
Who did I pick? I don't know. I can't remember.
3 seconds ago.
Yeah. My memory ain't so good these days. Trevino is probably one of the top catchers on the board for me in terms of what I'm using. But if you want to play a catcher, that Grandal is pretty good, even though it's not the best weather in the world or the best ballpark. He's pretty good. He's expensive there. Alfaro is probably my top catcher on the board, but I'm using less Miami stack, so he's less in my builds. I don't mind Nola at 4.9K. Bart, I don't mind going up against Marvicious. Is not a bad play. Cisco, I am using a decent amount of Baltimore bats, and he's a guy that's going to make it into some. He's got the platoon split. Porcel's probably going to be decently chalky because he's popping in a lot of projection systems. But that's pretty much where I'm going. It's going to be almost entirely Alfaro, Grandal, and what's his name? Trevino from Texas.
15 seconds. Over under. How many games does Fitzmagic play a season?
Fitzmagic, 6.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Are you thinking about drafting Fitzmagic?
I have no quarterbacks, which is kind of a problem.
Nah, you can always get a quarterback. I have
but they're not available, basically. Tyrod or Fitzmagic?
Tyrod.
All right.
Which is his name. Say it correctly because he's
I thought it was T-Mobile. Was it T-Mobile or Ty God? I've heard both of those. All right. Give me some first baseman we like. Moreland's kind of the guy that fits the puzzle. Unfortunately for me, he was probably the Padre I had more so than anybody. And he basically did nothing in a game where they put up a pile of runs. Unfortunately, he struck out with the bases loaded too. That was not tilting at all. That doesn't mean we can't play him again tonight. DFS, we don't care about yesterday. We don't care about tomorrow. We care about tonight and tonight only. Tonight, he's well positioned. He's got the platoon advantage. He's got a reasonable asking price. That's sort of where I'm landing at first base from all those perspectives. Mitch Moreland, what say you?
Yeah, he's probably one of the top guys on the board. I prefer Cooper or Aguilar. Again, I'm playing a decent amount of Miami bats. Bell is too cheap at 3.1K considering what we do. I know Dunning's good. I know Bell has not been great this season, but that price is way too low there. Dominic Smith, good play. FYI, guys, if you're looking at my CVR, sorry, I was planning on updating before the show that I didn't know I was going to be on.
Thank you for being here, Grant. I appreciate it. You weren't even supposed to be here today. Thank you.
No, I wasn't until about 45 minutes ago. Luckily, I have paid attention.
What did you have planned like 25 minutes ago? What was your plans?
I was going to make another
Hot Pockets and Hungry Man or something.
No, I've already eaten 2 grilled cheeses and a nice bowl of soup. It's snowing outside.
Those go together like peas and carrots, grilled cheese and soup. Okay.
Wait, you haven't heard that? Tomato soup and grilled cheese?
Well, tomato soup is gross. Like I'm out. You lost me in tomato soup. Yeah, and
gosh,
I don't eat grilled cheese. Well, yeah, I don't eat. Did we just lose Grant's video, or is Devin just coming in and yelling at me?
Well, because you don't like tomato soup, I would be my guess.
Did they invent the new soup? What was the last good new soup they invented?
Buttersquatch.
What?
But a nice little buttersquatch soup.
Are you saying that correct? Is that the correct pronunciation?
I'm probably not. I'm super tired. It's been a long day so far, and I've done so many best ball drafts. Should I get Renfroe or Jefferson?
Jefferson? Renfroe is the 2 condom play, right?
The 2 condom play?
It's the Levitan thing.
Oh.
You're not aware of this? Yeah, it's somebody else's bit, but that's just kind of what popped in my head. Yeah, and also grilled cheese. I don't like yellow cheese, and I bet you put yellow cheese in there, right?
I put Gouda, baby Swiss. I did put some Colby Jack in there, but you can just switch it up to mozzarella, and that's 3 white cheeses.
So yeah, Bobby says the last good soup was tomato. Hasn't tomato soup been around forever? Like maybe they haven't invented one since like 1970 or something.
I mean, that's tomato. I mean, the soup you can't really. French onion soup is my favorite, by the way. I know you probably hate that because you're weird.
Butternut squash is probably what the chat is telling us. Thank you. So somebody was correcting that for you.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm very sleepy. First baseman also could go with Abreu.
Are the best soups. There you go. We should do power ranking of soups.
Oh, Zuppa Toscana from Olive Garden. Olive Garden, one of the greatest restaurants ever.
Chicken dumplings is not a soup. That's a dumpling. Is that?
Well, no, you have chicken dumplings inside of soup. You have dumplings inside of chicken broth.
Isn't that called something though? It's not. Is it called chicken dumpling soup?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not a soup connoisseur, so. Did we clean up first base? You got any of your takes here at first?
I think we went through everything.
Who is the French onion soup? If you're gonna like comp, who's the first baseman that will be comp to French onion soup?
Not everyone agrees with him. Is probably underrated, but very divisive. I'm probably gonna go with Ohtani today.
So I had this conversation earlier today about Ohtani, and it's like he's not been good this year, and we know he had the Tommy John deal, and I feel like that's affecting. I don't know, but I feel like that's affecting his hitting. He's not been the guy. I was not sold this person. I was told he was better than this. The numbers aren't producing. Now, to be fair, I meant to dig into his StatCast stuff, and I didn't. But he is cheap also too, especially on FanDuel where he's like 2.8, which is
you got to realize it's also a small sample size. It could very easily be a slump. You look at his numbers versus righties so far this year. I'm just going to pull him up on Plate IQ because we're going kind of quickly. But his numbers, obviously, his WOBA, his ISO are not great, but his hard contact is still above average right now. His fly balls are still slightly above average. He's not showing great numbers, and his exit velocity is still right on par with Rendon. So the power is still there. It's probably not affecting him as much as you think it is, and it could simply just be an off year for him so far.
Yeah, I talked about Matt Olson there in chat. Matt Olson is essentially the Joey Gallo of first baseman, is he not?
Yeah, he is. He 100% is.
We'll talk about Joey Gallo soon enough, and I'm sure it's no secret everybody's gonna be playing Joey Gallo today. And
I thought he was going to be contrarian today, and turns out I was wrong.
You didn't really think that, did you?
I mean, I assume people are going to. Hey, chat, how many people think that the Texas bats are terrible? We're probably
they are
get a
terrible,
lot of
but they're also super cheap and they make things work. And Julio Teheran is also not good. He's in the back end of his career, especially he's super vulnerable to one thing: lefty power. And what does Joey Gallo have? He's got lefty power. That was implied, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, fine. Pivot to Guzman. We didn't talk about him at first base, but Guzman's in play.
Keystone position, second base. What do you have for me?
Second base, they're Moncada, depending on site. He's a little too cheap in certain areas. Dylan Moore, I love today. Dylan Moore going up against Anderson. He's been hot this year. He's far too underpriced at 3.5K. I know he's going to have a bit of ownership, but I don't care. Frazier is too cheap at 3.2K, ridiculously too cheap. Odor is trash, but you know me, I love Texas bats today.
He was out with an eye for a while, and he's been horrendous this year. But he is super cheap, and once upon a time he had a ton of power, and I don't know what to do with him because he hasn't played baseball in a while, at least not in the majors. I don't know.
Play Solak.
Yeah, but he's like you said, he's super cheap, 3.1K in DK. I think he's 2.5 on FanDuel, and you kind of have that conversation of Odor versus Lux, which is an interesting conversation. It's probably Lux. Odor is probably the tournament guy, or maybe you just kind of chop him, or you can throw one in the utility spot as well. I'm kind of going back and forth in that one pre-show, but it's hard to trust Odor, just the way he's been hitting of late, the fact he's coming off his injury. But again, he's super cheap, and he's facing Teheran, who again yields lefty power. And the chat's saying keep talking about Texas, and I fully concede that Texas is terrible. They're not, but they're still.
Yes, not everyone's as smart as you or I. Well, a lot of people are as smart as you. That's not
fair,
a high bar.
That's fair. It's reasonable.
But
the bar's lower.
Yeah, it's just people don't want to do things, and they have Dunning there that they can just throw into their lineup instead of double barreling pitchers, and then get the Texas, or they can get the Dodgers bats or the San Diego bats, which they'd rather go with. Texas has been terrible. They look at the ballpark factors. They see the Texas ballpark has been horrible for hitting. We know that the dome's not closed away. Huh?
Roof is closed as well.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. The roof is closed, so they might as many smart people as are on the Texas bats, a lot of people are just going to be like, no, I can't swallow that pill. So they're not going to go with the Texas bats. I think that they're going to come in at fairly low ownership relatively to the entire slate. So I don't care. I'm using them. If I'm wrong about ownership, I don't care. I still think they're the right play.
I pulled up our ownership now, and again, the ownership is not – it's always being refined the closer we get the lock, and I think it's a little low. Personally, the DK ownership, we have Tavares at 15%, Solak at 12%, Gallo at 12%. I think it's going to be much higher than that. Odor at 3%. I think it'll be much higher than that. And again, the closer we get the lock, the more refined that number gets. But if those are the true numbers, I love it. But I think it's going to be higher. We shall see. Trevino at 10% as well, too, as far as the catcher. You got anything else at second base, or you want to jump to third?
Someone said that I eat like a grown-up. I don't. I literally had grilled cheese multiple times this week.
Did they not get the grilled cheese?
I have Lunchables in my fridge right now. I am not an adult.
And you have no children, correct?
That is correct that I know of.
You personally buy Lunchables?
Yes. When they go on sale for $1, of course I'm going to buy them.
Well, that means they're probably about to expire.
Okay, first of all, they don't expire until the year 2040. Those and Twinkies never go bad.
Is that not concerning for you? Maybe this ham should expire in the next 3 years.
Okay, think about it this way. If they're going to last until 2040, I eat them. That means I should at least have 20 more years in me.
That seems like fuzzy math to me. Give me third base, the hot corner, where I don't love third base. Now, we talked about the Rangers a ton. The Angels have the same, total of 4.75, as far as their run projection. The Ranger bullpen is pretty terrible. I think he was doing this before the show. I think there's 2 lefties and one of their lefties has pitched 3 of the last 4 days, so it's almost definitely going to be all righties coming out of pen, with the exception of like one guy. Vice, by the way, is 2.1K for what it's worth, batting second. He's got some power in his bat, as does, did he not? Oh, he did not crack the lineup. Never mind. We're just going to talk about the potential DHs they're going to have. Point is, are we neglecting the Angels? Because Mike Trout and Rendon, we're talking about third base. Rendon, is he going to be neglected? Because I don't love anybody at third. You mentioned Brian Anderson, the Marlins. I think he's kind of sort of someone interesting and kind of makes things work at a mid-tier price. But, Falefa's batting third. He's pretty terrible. Doesn't have the platoon against Tehran. Machado's great. Arenado's great. Love his players. Muncy against Clark. He's just super expensive. What are we doing at third?
JD Davis is not the worst play in the world. I know he's going up against a righty, but don't care. He's still 4.1K. I don't mind that at all. Brian Anderson, I already mentioned him. Love him today. Other than that, it's mostly pay up options or round out your stacks. You can always go to Texas with a trashy bat. That's not going to get you many points, but he's not going to be heavily owned.
They're asking about Solano ownership in chat. Well, he's not. He's a second baseman on DK, 4.3.
I don't know if you know this. We're on a little bit of a delay.
Yeah. Well, no, I do know this, but I'm just – I didn't know Solano was expected to be heavily owned. I did not see that. I know he's batting second against Marjavistas, which is kind of sort of somewhat interesting. And the Giants do have a pretty high team total for them, just creeping up on 5. If Rios cracks the lineup, he's 2.2 or something at FanDuel. If you want to flat out punt it, I have no problem with that. I think he's third base over there. I just don't like this position overall. And I think it's also worth mentioning, talk about as neglected stacks potentially. The Angels could be one. What about the A's? You're always touting the A's, and Houston is a pitching factory, but Luis Garcia is a guy I think he's not seen above single A, outside of a cup of coffee in the majors. Who knows what we're going to get out of him? And there is some power on this Oakland side. I think paying 4.6K for Tommy La Stella in 2020 or any year for that matter seems egregious, but I don't know. Oakland's going to be off the board and nobody's going to play him, and you never know what Garcia is going to give us. Any interest in La Stella and Oakland as a collective?
I hadn't really seen their ownership. It looks like it's going to be a lot lower than it should be.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. They've got a pitcher umpire, which really is not great, but and the ballpark is always the biggest thing for me. I don't want to play them when they're playing at home because it's got big foul ball ground, son of a biscuit. The weather's normally not that hot. It's not that great. It's just a spot where I don't want to go. But today, again, we have barely any good weather for hitting. So it just kind of I didn't have a whole lot of interest at the beginning of the day. It's kind of migrating more towards interest in them now. So I will have some ownership in them now that we've talked about it. I didn't have any plan before the show, but I've also been all over the place today and didn't see ownership yet. So, I don't mind that.
Eat themselves.
Well, I ate grilled cheese today. And the Lunchables are a dessert.
They always – how they delegate, okay, we're going to give a ham with Swiss. How do they decide what cheese goes with what poultry?
It's thousands of years of trying it. I'm sure there's a decent correlation, ham and cheddar.
What if I want ham and mozzarella? Why can't you build that one for me? Is that not available?
Because apparently not. It's not real cheese.
Well, it's something. We're talking shortstop. Hey, we haven't really mentioned the White Sox a ton, maybe in passing here and there. They're one of those teams, we know we like him more, especially against lefties. This ballpark's not very good. They are locked in for 9 innings on the road, so that's worth something. Brubaker, we don't know what Brubaker is. He looks like he can be competent, but he's not somebody that we're afraid of, obviously. Egregious price. I suppose you could say it's egregious on Tim Anderson.
If you're going to stack them up, you pretty much need to play Dunnings and another cheap guy, which, I guess you can go Luzardo is not a bad idea, especially with the pitcher's umpire, but I'm not terribly happy about that.
Oh, I got auto-drafted.
Oh, maybe you should have done better. I've made 30 picks this show.
I'm not a good multitasker. Who did I just pick last? Oh, man. It's probably – who's this? Oh, no, never mind. I'm just on the clock. I got to stay on track. I apologize, people.
Be better at your job, Dean. Shortstop. We got Tatis there up at the top, clear top option, but he is not cheap at 5.9K. Don't care. Still going to play him a little bit. Crawford and the lefty-lefty matchup is not exactly what we want, but Anderson really hasn't been good to either side of the plate so far this season. He's not that great of a pitcher, and that ballpark isn't nearly as bad as it once was. I don't mind using him. You look at the actual numbers, and at least he's making contact, so he has a chance of multiple hits. Anderson can be around a little bit, and he can get a few extra plays. Plus, Anderson, small sample size, is giving up a 424 WOBA and a 256 ISO versus lefties so far this season. And his stuff kind of leads a little bit to reverse splits with him hammering that changeup in pretty often. Outside of that, I mean, you can go Rojas. He's leading off. He's cheapish. You can go Seager, obviously in a great spot with great weather, some of the best weather on the board. You can go Tejada there over in Texas, just a way to round out the stack at a spot where really not a ton to go with in the lower range at this position here. And if you want to double barrel, it makes it way easier to go with Tejada. Outside of that, Taylor maybe, Tim Anderson, Story, they're all fine, but they don't jump off the page. It's really down to who you're stacking up with, or if you just want to stomach Tejada, hoping he gets 2 hits by accident going up against Teheran, and just hope for the best there.
Question here in chat. You said you're playing some Marlins. Who do you prefer, Aguilar or Anderson?
I'm splitting them both. Just 50-50.
That's a cop-out answer. How's that going to help that person?
That's a cop-out answer. If you really want one over the other, if you have the extra $100, go for Aguilar. He's going to come in at lower ownership. A lot more people will be on Cooper, and Aguilar has a better chance at a double bomb. He hits that up in the air a whole lot. Malone, he's not the worst pitcher in the world, but he's not the best pitcher in the world. He doesn't strike out guys at a high rate, although he is striking out guys at a high rate this year. But he doesn't walk guys. He throws strikes, and he's a fly ball guy. Aguilar, if he gets it up in the air, he can absolutely hit out of the ballpark easier than Cooper can.
All right, jump into the outfield. You know, Joey Gallo at 3.8K on DK. I think he's like 3.3 on FanDuel. I understand he strikes out a good bit, and he still has a decent chance of striking out versus Tehran. But Tehran, we talked about it back, you know, he's in the back end of his career, certainly vulnerable to lefty power, and that's all Joey Gallo has. He had a bomb the other day. It was absolutely insane, like upper deck. Was it Texas? Was it Seattle? It went an insane amount of distance. You don't get any extra points for that. It's just kind of cool to see. Leody Taveras, rookie leading off. I believe he's still just 21 years old. Maybe just turned 22. I was listening to the broadcast the other day. Plenty young. He's got some speed. And Tehran, one thing he'll do, he's going to walk you. And he also yields stolen bases. So there you go. Bold call. Taveras is going to lead off with a walk and steal second base. How about that? You take that or no?
Yeah, he's probably going to do it.
Well, that's not probably. It's less likely to happen than to happen. I wouldn't say it's probably.
Yeah, but in a good matchup, it's probably closer to 25% than it is to 0.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Texas again. Well, that's where I'm supposed to go, chat. Like the Gallows jumping off the page. Okay, give me some non-Texas outfielders, some outfielders that you like that are gonna land in some of your lineups. Conforto is pretty interesting, more so on FanDuel, where the price is a little bit more appealing versus Lopez. Like DJ Stewart at 2K, I know he's absolutely on fire. If you believe in, he's hot. He's got 4 home runs. His first 4 hits in the majors, essentially all homers. He's still 2K. Mountcastle's a legit prospect. Doesn't look overmatched for the majors. And again, he's facing Rick Porcello, who is going to throw some hittable pitches. He's not necessarily going to blow anybody by with his stuff. Starling Marte on FanDuel specifically is 3.1K. Like him over there. And like we said, why not just play Mike Trout? I understand salary cap reasons, but just find a way to get the Trout facing Cody in that bullpen. Cody's not going to go very long. Ditto with Ohtani. I know he's been rough. Better price on FanDuel. The price on DK 4.3 is fine as well. Give me some other outfielders you want to. Feel free to double down any of those guys or dispute. By all means, the floor is yours.
Love Gallo. Absolutely love Gallo today. Wrote him up in an expert survey, as did everyone else apparently. That's fine. DJ Stewart, super cheap, 2K, makes things work, lets you double barrel pitcher. Conforto, is he in the lineup? I did the morning grad before this.
Conforto's batting second.
Yeah, any of the Mets bats, like lefties, take them. Dominic Smith, just take them.
Conforto versus, this is a quandary I had over on FanDuel, and I might just pull your move and chop it. Conforto versus Trent Grisham.
Conforto.
Taylor's batting third for the Dodgers tonight. What's different about their lineup?
Marte just got stretched, which probably gives a little bit of an upgrade to Kershaw.
Ketel Marte's not playing baseball?
Yeah, I think I have to sneeze, but I'm not sure.
There's a mute button somewhere. So the Diamondbacks went from 2 Martes to 1 Marte, and now they're Sans Marte. No Martes in that lineup. It's got to be terrible. Who's coming in for him? That's a bad lineup for Arizona.
It's not good. It's definitely not good.
Whoever it is, that this person coming in is not going to be good at as good as baseball as Marte. Walker's got some power, I suppose. And what's his name's got to be in the lineup? Why am I not seeing the lefty master? Is he not playing, or he's not in the original lineup? Well, Wilmer Flores, I don't see him here. He's probably going to come in for Marte, maybe, possibly.
Flores is batting fourth.
Oh, well, it's his
Flores plays San Francisco, doesn't he?
Oh, am I? Hold on a second. Now I'm so confused.
Yeah,
I forgot. I was thinking Wilmer Flores was on Arizona like he was years past.
I mean, he's been on a lot of teams. It's tough to keep track of things.
We were throwing a perfect game, too, and look what happens. 3 minutes before we get out of here and step aside.
People keep asking if you can play Darvish and Bowers. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And I will.
I hope so. If we can't, then I'm in some severe trouble. It's not going to be good for your boy. Luck's batting 8th tonight. No Diaz for the Dodgers, by the way. I'm not sure if you saw it lineup just yet. Yeah, the chat's just catching up and yelling at me about John. Yeah, because I was like, Flores is facing a lefty tonight, and I forgot he wasn't facing Kershaw. My bad. We got 2 minutes or so before he steps out and make way for crunch time. Crunch time. Cheese is good. Dave Potts, 2-time winning millionaire maker. No,
I know that guy.
Do you? Like, do you have a direct line? If you send him a text or you send him a DM, will he respond to you within like 8 minutes?
I send him a DM multiple times a week.
And
he responds. It's always about the same thing.
Begrudgingly? Or he's happy to do so?
Oh, I remind him. He always. There was a few days where he forgot to put in stacks on CVRs, and I do mine and then remind him.
Yeah, because it's a little tricky the way that works. So we've added that now. We all give our favorite stacks there. That's a good segue, Grant, because who are your favorite stacks tonight?
Favorite stacks, very, very clearly Texas. I like the Mariners. I like Baltimore. I like Miami. Like, obviously, San Diego and the Dodgers are the two top ones, but I can't really fit them in. So it's Miami, Baltimore, Texas are the ones I'm going to be using a whole lot of.
According to chat, it's going to be left-handed John Jay stepping in for the Diamondbacks to face Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, yeah, because he always has one big upside game every 2 years.
I wasn't saying they have nobody else.
No, this was me venting about how I end up playing him and he always sucks with me, and then I'll randomly
Why do you always
him.
play John Jay? That's a you problem.
It's pricing. It's pricing. It's never a good idea. I know it's a bad idea.
Life is about expectations, Grant. You should subdue your John Jay.
I expect to lose money anytime I play John Jay.
Give me a couple guys that are going to homer.
Let's see. Gallo is the easy one, so I shouldn't even need to say that.
But like, we should also say, like, the chances are he doesn't homer. Like, it's less likely that he doesn't homer. Wait, that he homers and he doesn't homer. Just saying. Yeah. Go ahead.
Aguilar, Montcastle,
I like Montcastle.
Yeah. I'm trying to give another one that's not.
Well, we live in the world of a time clock, and we got to go.
Guzman.
Grant, I do appreciate you stepping in at the last minute. This was fun. I learned a lot. Go Heat. It's going to be fun. I wanted to talk to Kirk Dietz about that. We're going to meet him in the finals, potentially. That was baseball. He was Grant. I was Dean. Stay tuned for Crunch Time. We're out of here. Holler.
Hey, kids.